Hello, my name is Shawn, editor at screwymonkey.com, and I am incredibly excited today because we are launching a brand new segment for the channel. We are calling it Monkey Chow, and we are here today in my kitchen cooking. I am very hoping you'll enjoy this because I really want to make it a regular segment on the channel. Hopefully, once a week, we will be cooking together. The whole concept behind this particular segment is that we are all incredibly busy, and we all love incredibly delicious food. The problem is, incredibly delicious food generally takes a long time to make. We're gonna solve that today because we are going to put together a delicious dish in just a little bit of time using a few ingredients, most of which you can buy really almost completely pre-prepared. On this, our first edition of Monkey Chow, we are going to make pasta, which is a personal favorite of mine. We are going to make one pot turkey penne. So here is what you're going to need for our one pot turkey penne. First, we're gonna start out with garlic, one medium onion, bell pepper, some pre-sliced mushrooms, let the grocery store do the work, a jar of your favorite tomato sauce. I am going to use RAGU mushroom super chunky, extra flavorful today. It could really be anything though, as long as it's a jarred pasta sauce. That's our big cheat, by the way. We are going to use ground turkey, just because I like it better than ground beef. One incredible can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. These make all the difference in the dish in the world. Make sure you get the fire roasted. 1 cup of shredded Italian cheese blend. You can buy this in the cheese section of your supermarket. It's got like mozzarella, Parmesan, and a bunch of other cheeses all mixed together in one thing. Super convenient. Little parsley, just for some green. And we're gonna need some spices, including ground black pepper, salt, Italian seasoning, a little oil to keep things lubricated, and of course, your favorite pasta. As I said, we're using penne today because it's my favorite shape, but really you could use any pasta in this. They all work just fine. So we're gonna start this dish out with some garlic, and however much you wanna use is really up to you. I usually recommend using about 2 cloves. I'm a big garlic fan, so I'm gonna use 3. Here's a quick tip for you. When you're doing your garlic and you wanna mush it up, sprinkle a little bit of salt on your cutting board. Take the garlic, smash it with your knife, peel it. Try not to drop your garlic on the floor like I just did. I guess we'll use 2 cloves for this recipe. The reason you put the salt down, by the way, is that it acts as like a little ball bearing or a little like grit, and it keeps the garlic from moving around when you're chopping it, and that actually gives you a lot more control over the chop of your garlic. Just want to kind of give it a little bit of a rough chop like that. Then we're just gonna scoot that to the side. And we're gonna work on our onion. Just wanna go ahead and cut your onion in half. I'm gonna switch out knives here. Wanna find the root end of your onion. You just wanna cut little pieces. We're gonna do a really rough chop here. Just cut down and then you cut across and you'll get a nice dice on the onion. And if you do it really quickly, you will not cry, I'm told. I can never really not cry when I'm cutting onion though, so whatever. It's all part of the experience. As I said, it's a rough chop. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. Just gonna pick this up, put it away for later. That really was an incredibly potent onion. I had to stop for a second. Okay, so Next, we're going to do our green pepper. Really simple, just go ahead and cut the top off of it. Take out all the guts. So I was once watching a cooking show and they said, how do you know where to cut a bell pepper? And I think the answer was the bell pepper will tell you. And I think that's a really smart thing. So basically the top you're just gonna cut into little pieces. But then here's where you have to listen to your bell pepper. It's not actually gonna talk to you, by the way. But it has ridges built in already. So you're just gonna cut along the ridges that are already there, and that is the perfect spot to actually cut your bell pepper. We're just gonna cut this in little chunks. As you can see, we have a really incredibly coarse chop on these, and that's really what you want. These are gonna supply a lot of sort of crunch and texture in the finished dish, and you really want those like big chunks of bell pepper. My next two steps are completely optional. One, you can take your mushrooms like that, and what I just like to do is just give them a really rough kind of once over with my chef knife, just to give them a little bit of a chop in case there's any really extra large pieces in there. Then our very next item is completely optional, and that is a little parsley that we're gonna throw into the dish in two different steps actually. One, we're gonna throw it in for a garnish at the end, because you can always use a little garnish and a little green on top of anything red. And two, we are going to use it. And two, if you do decide to use the parsley, it actually adds a really nice fresh flavor to the dish itself. So you wanna make sure that if you can get it and you can use it, that you do. But you know, if you had to omit something from this recipe, then well, I would omit the parsley, okay? That is pretty much all of our ingredients prepared and ready to go. And next we're gonna hop over to the stove and we're gonna start putting this thing together. All right, it's time to get our penne pasta started. First things first, you wanna heat up your pot and make sure it's nice and hot. Don't reach all the way in, don't wanna burn yourself, but that is really hot. There's a rule in cooking, it is hot pan, cold oil, food won't stick. So we're gonna add a little bit of oil to our pan, just enough to kind of coat the bottom a little bit, just like that, switch it around. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to saute our garlic and our onions until they're just a little bit done, kind of translucent, but not quite. I put both the onions and the garlic in the same bowl just for the ease of putting it in there. Ooh. Oh yeah, that's hot. Just kind of switch that around a little bit. Maybe we'll turn it down a little bit. We are using a really large stock pot for this because we are going to boil the pasta in the same pan that we are making the sauce in all together. That's what makes it a one pot dish. We're going to add the bell peppers. That should cool things down in there a little bit. Now it's kind of important that you don't overcook the bell peppers in this initial stage, because you do want them to have a good amount of body in the final dish. So I think right about now you can see the onions are getting just the slightest bit translucent. Not too translucent, just a little bit. The garlic smells nice and good, it's not burning. If you happen to burn your garlic, by the way, you pretty much have to start over. So don't think you can get away with that. If you burn your garlic, you are done. You don't want that flavor in your dish, okay? The beautiful, magical pre-sliced mushrooms go in next. Just gonna give those a tiny minute. And really, you just want to give those enough time to just soften a little bit and absorb some of that really good garlic flavor, but not enough time to actually cook, okay? Then what I like to do is just kind of move everything to the little sides of the pan for a second. And then it's time to add in our ground turkey. So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just chop up the meat a little bit, get that turkey kind of chopped. And we are going to use this as the perfect opportunity to season our dish. We are going to season it a couple of times. We're gonna season it at the end, we're gonna season it at the beginning. You really just cannot season this enough. Start out by seasoning with some Italian seasoning. Just a good, healthy little amount. Black pepper. Really have never had too much black pepper in my life. And salt. Now here's the one thing about salt in this dish, is that there is salt in the pre-prepared pasta sauce we're going to use. So you really do not want to use too much, but just enough to kind of season the meat. That should be about enough. And then we're just going to keep cutting this with our spatula, giving it a good turn as we do it. I gotta tell you, that smells good. That is quite possibly one of the best things I've smelled this week. All right. So at this point you have everything all sauteed together. You've got the meat all cooked, the veggies are happy, everything is really beautiful. And it's time to make some magic, because this is really what makes this the most convenient dish possible. Your meat to pasta ratio is something I'm gonna leave up to you a little bit. I know a lot of people in my household, when they make this, will use an entire package of penne. I actually like to use about 3/4 of a package of penne because I like my pasta just to be a tiny bit meatier. So we're gonna go ahead and pop that in there. Yeah, that's about 3/4, give or take. Next, you're gonna put in your prepared pasta sauce. I do like this RAGU. And then there's still a lot of goodness left in here, plus you need some water in there, so we're gonna just put some water and rinse this out. Shake it, shake it, shake it, till you get all that good tomato-y goodness out of there, and you're going to put that right in the pot. At this point, what you need to do is kind of check your ratios. So we're just gonna give it a good stir. So that's exactly what you want. You want enough water in there that you can push down the pasta a little bit and it's covered. And what you're gonna do at this point is you're going to cover it. We're gonna bring it up to a little bit of a simmer, and we're gonna simmer it for probably about 20 minutes. All right, so our pasta has simmered for about 20 minutes and it's smelling incredibly, incredibly good. You want to make sure, by the way, as it's cooking on the stove, that you do give it quite a few stirs. It is a tomato-based product. Tomato-based products have a tendency to stick on heat, so just make sure it doesn't stick. As long as it doesn't stick, you'll be completely good to go. We're gonna give it a taste just to make sure that the flavor's in balance before we go ahead and finish up this fabulous one-pot pasta dish. By the way, that's what it looks like. Your penne is nice and soft. There's lots of incredibly good tasting fabulousness in this pot right now. I so wish you could smell it. It smells amazing. You just want to reach in, get a tiny bit of the sauce on your spoon, kind of like that. Give it a little taste. That is pretty perfect. Sometimes with tomato-based products, even pre-jarred ones you buy at the store, there can be like flavor variations. So sometimes you may have to adjust the acidity, just drop in a couple little dabs of vinegar, or sometimes you may have to adjust the sweetness. If it's a little tart, just sprinkle in a tiny bit of sugar. This one though is completely and totally perfect. So we're gonna take it off the heat and finish it right on up. Oh my God, this smells so good. I cannot wait to finish this up. Look at that. All right, there's just one or two little steps that really make the critical difference in this entire dish, and they are all happening right now at the very end of cooking this magnificent, magnificent culinary creation we have just made. The first one, remember our parsley? We're just going to insert, a handful or so of the parsley, like so. And we're just gonna mix that in real quick. Don't worry about mixing in too much because we're gonna mix in a whole lot more stuff in a second. Then we are going to take our little Italian cheese blend and we're gonna put almost all of it in there. Maybe just reserve about 1/4 cup or so. And then we're just gonna give it a good stir to kind of mix that around. The cheese is gonna wanna clump up on your spatula, so just make sure that doesn't happen. Look at that good cheesy goodness that's happening inside of this pot right now. Oh my God. Is there anything better than terrific garlic tomatoey goodness and stringy cheesiness? I just love this so much. And then our very last, and remember, this is where a ton of flavor in this dish comes in, are these really cool fire roasted diced Italian tomatoes. They are really good and they give it an incredible sort of smokiness and depth that you don't normally get in a pasta dish. So all you're gonna do is just open these bad boys up. Maybe. There we go. So you just open these bad boys up. Give them a little bit of a drain. I'm just gonna dump those in just like that. The residual heat from the pot, because the pasta is still really hot and steamy, is just gonna heat those up. So don't worry about it cooling down your pasta. It's actually just gonna have the exact opposite effect. It is going to warm up the tomatoes with just the heat that's still in the pot. So it's gonna give that a little stir. So it's just time to serve this up. Want to get yourself a nice hearty portion. I've worked up quite the manly appetite right now making this, so I think I'm gonna have a huge portion of pasta. And then all you're going to do is just sprinkle with a little bit of your Italian blend cheese right on top, just like that. You're gonna put in just a tiny bit of parsley in the top for color. Just like that. And then you have an incredibly beautiful dish that I would be happy to serve to just about anybody, but right now I'm gonna serve it to myself. I'm gonna make sure I get that cheese in there. There are not words. There just are not words to describe how incredibly delicious and yummy this dish is. I really do hope you'll give this dish a try really soon, and comment below, let me know how you liked it. It is really one of my favorite dishes. I think I probably make this 3 or 4 times a month. It is amazing, quick, easy, super simple, not really expensive either. If you total all the items together that it takes to make this, it really doesn't cost very much. It is an amazingly hearty dish and one that I think you'll absolutely enjoy. So that concludes our very first monkey chow on screwymonkey.com. It was an incredibly good time making it for you, and I sincerely hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give that subscribe button a click. Also, click the notifications icon because you are not going to want to miss all of the future episodes of Monkey Chow, just as much as you are not going to want to miss everything else coming up on the channel this year. There is some incredibly good stuff planned. Once again, thank you for joining us as we explore human culture one screwy monkey at a time.